Obviously, we have seen tonight what has happened in response to Nakba Day in Israel. I have not shown you what type of volatile behavior has been going on, once again, in New York. But here they are on Nakba Day.
Don't fucking touch me!
I didn't do anything. He didn't do nothing. He didn't do nothing. No. Why would he say such a thing? I'm a protected class, because I'm native. And I can do whatever I want. You got him. Let's see if he winds up.
Touch me!
There it is. It's something. Now, I pride myself on having great personal hygiene. I'm just thinking out loud. I could be wrong. But I don't think you want to get a whiff of that guy's breath, because I think it would smell like, well, sewer problems. Just a thought. Just a thought.
Hey, fuck Palestine!
Where's Nasrallah? Where's Gaza? Come on, Gaza! Yallah! Yallah! Yallah!
This is the thing also about animals. They're very tough when they're in packs, but when they're alone, individuals, they're very weak, very scared, very meek. But when they're in packs, they're dangerous. And that's why they're acting this way. Complete impunity, because they've got the cops on their side, not the other way around. And all the while, as I've said, as I said earlier, it's like Ronald Reagan said, we can't help everybody, but everybody can help somebody. And what we can do is collectively work together to end this genocidal attachment to this rogue state. And with it, our collapsing empire. Because there are people at the very top who don't care what happens to us. So we should not care what happens to them. That's our job. Our job is to expose these crimes against humanity. That's our job.
Fuck you! Fuck you for supporting
I also want to point out one more thing, which I think anybody would understand about these kids in particular. They clearly have never been punched in the mouth in a way that would make them cry like the little bitches that they are. Sometimes you do need to feel what it's like to take one on the chin. I can tell you that I've taken it on the chin a few times in my life. Quite a few. I once took it on the jaw from an Army lieutenant that was drunk out of his mind. He's a friend of mine. But at the time, I was trying to separate him from physical altercation with a fellow soldier that I know that if I did not get in the middle of, one of them probably would have been dead. That's how serious this was. And he reared back and he gave me one. And this is a big guy. And he gave me one, took it right there on the jaw. And he was shocked that I barely moved. And I thought about it. And I'm like, well, I could fight him, but this won't end well either. Because these guys truly know how to, these are killers. These guys are trained killers. That's what happens when you have to fight somebody who really knows what they're doing. These guys are just a bunch of salty little pussies who wouldn't know anything about actual physical altercation if their life depended on it. And that's why they act the way that they do when they're surrounded by hundreds of them all doing the same thing with the cops on their side, mind you. And they're doing this against people that are just peacefully protesting. They're even going after their own. They're going after the rabbis and the people who are on the Palestinian side saying, you're not Jews, you freaking terrible. Bleh. I am sick and tired of looking at this shit, as I'm sure all of you are. But this is another example of why, if you saw the interview, and I'm not going to play it, but Trump sat down with Hannity over in China. And when he was asked, what was the point of starting war with Iran? He's like, well, we totally have to protect. Well, it was for Israel. And then he stopped himself and he thought, oh, wait, no, I can't just say that. I have to, there's a little bit more to the story, basically adding in, well, it's also for these other countries too. But he led with Israel because, of course, he did. Because, again, he's the most honest liar we've ever seen. So that's one of the really big reasons why this has become such a main focal point in so much of what we do here and now. And when I think about the story that I read about the dog that was defending a family, and then an Israeli soldier beat the dog within an inch of its life, which, thank God, the dog apparently is going to recover. But I'll tell you, to see that soldier hit that dog and hear that dog cry, and then he hit it again and again and again. I have said before that part of the reason that I know that I am capable of doing this, being in this arena, even though I really don't want to be, is because I have the courage of my convictions to stand up to people like this. And if necessary, deal in combat with people like this. You can't be afraid to die if you want to live. If anybody thinks that the torture of animals, especially dogs, is in any way acceptable, I have no words to express how I feel about dogs. It's one of the few things in life that truly gives me joy. Jen likes to give me shit every time I wave at a dog. People think I'm creeping them out because I'm waving at their dog, but I do it because I genuinely love them. And they make life better. And as Bill Murray once said, I don't trust any person who doesn't like dogs, but I trust any dog who doesn't like a person. And again, most of you know, I'm not going to show this because I can't. It's too much. And so maybe seeing the violence, the maiming, the raping, all that behavior that's inhumane, that is genocidal in nature. The Zionist supremacy is one that most people tend to overlook because, as I mentioned before, there is an anti-Muslim sentiment in this country that is very real and very strong. And so as a result, one tends to overlook these problems because they're just indifferent about it. But if the average person saw the physical abuse of a dog by these animals, these subhuman animals, I think a lot of them would have a big problem with it. I think they would. And so as difficult as it is for me to say, those that truly need to see this need to understand that there is no exception. This isn't a one-off situation. We have shown before that there is, Jen, if you can remind me the name of the day, there is a holiday, there is a fucking holiday in Israel devoted to tossing dogs and cats into fire. That's real. It is so sadistic that the few Israelis that have humanity still running through their blood do everything they can to protect these cats and dogs on those days. And this is something where it's primarily youth, because, you know, why not get them started early, like the Hitler Youth? That's the day. So when you hear a story about a Zioscum soldier physically decimating a dog because that dog was trying to protect its family, you know that there is no saving those people. And that whatever happens to them, once this country no longer is conscripted to their ideology, if they become a dustbin of history, so be it. Not a tear will be shed by those who have real humanity. I am choosing my words extremely carefully here because I also have to think about my future and some of the things that I may want to do down the road. That is true. In fact, psychopaths, one of the first things that they tend to do is abuse animals or kill animals to see how it feels. And then they move up to humans. To say that they are inhuman, to say that they do not deserve anything on this earth anymore would be an understatement. They don't. And let's just say that the dog will never be the same after going through that. But may there be swift and brutal justice for the soldier who did it, for everyone that we have shown this evening, and a friendly reminder that the reason we do what we do, in spite of the fact that it costs us dearly with the algorithm, with our ability to make money, anything, because it is the right thing to do. Because unless we deal with this, we have no country, we have no future. It's over. We will go to hell with them. I don't want to. I want to be done. I want to be done with Israel forever. And may it happen sooner rather than later.